sbagliata, messa fuori, c'è Pirlo, ancora Pirlo di tacco, tiro,
Hello and welcome to this week's AC Milan Talk podcast. I'm your host Samit Paul, and as always I'm joined by my good friend Jason Brown. Jace, how you doing?
I'm doing great, mate. Doing great.
Good man. Right, Jace, lots on the agenda tonight. We'll talk Hakan Calhanoglu joining the club, the arrival of Fabio Borini, and how Milan are starting a new cycle. The Donnarumma contract situation is still not over, while we also talk formations. But first, Jace, let's start with the signing of Hakan. We had the signing of Borini at the back end of last week. And guess what, Jace?
Well,
another one.
Another one. I've been dying to use that. We've got another one.
Khalid approves.
Khalid approves, mate. Let's just talk the financial side of things first, because I personally believe that this Hakan deal is really, really good value for money. Reports claim that he's joined in a €24 million deal. That's 20 up front with 4 in bonuses. And then on top of that, he's going to earn €2.5 million a year over the next 4 years. Like I said, let's talk about him as a player in a second, but just talk about those figures initially. I don't know about you, Jace, but I'm looking at, I know they're not different players, different positions, but I see Everton splashing out £30 million on Michael Keane, and I see us splashing out €24 million on Hakan, and we've just signed a player who's a seasoned international. He's got Champions League experience. He's delivered. He's not a world-class superstar as such, but he's delivered in the sense he's scored lots of goals, plenty of assists at a high level in the Bundesliga. Talk to me. I personally, again, similarly to previous deals, I can't find any faults in this at all.
Yeah, I mean, both deals, the Borini and the Hakan deal, both coming in cheaper than that Everton deal you mentioned for Michael Keane. But it's great business. I know Arsenal were linked with him as a potential replacement for Mesut Ozil. So I guess Wenger rates him highly enough to think that he can fill Mesut's boots. So I think Milan have got a real steal there. I haven't watched him a lot, but from what I hear, he's a good player. Like you say, he's got all that Champions League experience. He's a bit of a free kick specialist as well. Yeah. I've seen some of his highlights on YouTube, but it looks like a good deal. Good deal, great deal, actually.
Definitely. Let's just talk about him then as a player. He's 23, as you mentioned there, set piece specialist. His free kicks are all over YouTube. Really, some really spectacular strikes. So looking forward to seeing him next season taking our free kicks. But I think the key for me was, what does he offer beyond the free kicks? That, it's all well and good smashing in a 25-yarder, but if you're not being an influential figure for us in the final third every week, then I'm kind of have my reservations. But from the research done, from talking to other people that have seen him, in depth, he's very creative, he's versatile. He plays in various positions in midfield, on the right, left, through the middle as a trequartista. All sounds really good, and I think, the word coming out is that his game is really suited to the Italian football, and a lot of people have tipped him to kind of fit into Montella's team really, really well. I mean, does that excite you? I mean, we're talking about Hakan, Bonaventura, Suso, Silva, all these guys capable of creating for each other. I know, people will have reservations about, are they the standout star players, but you stick those 4 or 5 players in the same team and it kind of gets you excited, no?
Yeah, no, it does, definitely. Those names you just mentioned, all talented, all kind of hard working, and the key thing for me is you can look at all those players and you can see, like you said, how Montella would use them and how they'd work as a unit, which I think is the most important thing. The only thing I would ask you, that now Hakan's joined, do you see anyone from that midfield quartet you mentioned potentially leaving, or do you think that's it now? You've got the 4 and that's who I'm going to press on with?
The only person I'd be a little scared about is Suso. I think we mentioned it last week in terms of his contract and interest from Roma and Napoli.
Yeah.
He's come out again as recently as tonight, saying that he's definitely staying, and there's no kind of indication from Milan as such to suggest that they're willing to listen to offers. So on that front, I'm not overly nervous about losing him. But if there was one to drop out, then I'd suggest it would probably be him. But I don't know. I think we're pretty settled. I think that'll be the four, but then obviously bring in a Kalinic type player, and you can change formation and be
Yeah.
a bit more creative. So yeah, I'm pretty content and settled. I think these guys are going to be the sort of quartet that you look to next season.
Yeah, no, it sounds good.
So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with that combination. Just going to throw some quotes at you because I quite liked what Hakan had to say as well when he was unveiled. So I want to thank Milan for making this transfer happen and trusting in me. I want to give a lot back. I'm very happy to be here in Milan. I want to give my best performances for the fans, the club and the team. Thank you for everything, for giving me the chance to play at the San Siro. I want to give my best. I'm free and want to give everything I have. AC Milan is a very good club, the most important club for me because they have so much history and I hope we can do it again. That's one of the things that has been like a running theme with all the players that we've bought so far this summer. I think they all acknowledge, and rightly so, that they all acknowledge the history of Milan and sort of living up to those expectations. Now they've made that step up.
Yeah.
Um, Again, you got to be. I know you can't take too much out of those words, but it's the right approach and the kind of what you want to hear from a new signing, isn't it? That he embraces what he's joining and moving into.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as a fan, you want every player on your team to kind of feel the way that you do about your club, and when they come out with quotes like this, it fills you with optimism about how serious they'll take this new challenge. Like you say, such a big club with a great history, and it just shows that these players understand. I mean, they're all of that age where growing up they would have seen Milan like at its peak, with some of the great players that we've had over the years. So it's kind of that thing, you growing up, you seeing this team, and now you've got the opportunity to play. Your mind goes back to, the days of Kaka, goes back to the days of Seedorf, and you're thinking, I'm the next one.
Yeah.
Maybe I can be the one that brings Milan back to the greatness. So yeah, it's good. It's good to hear.
Definitely, I was really pleased with that. Just a bit more sort of an indication of other people's opinions on it. There's one Premier Sport commentator who basically suggested that finally Milan have a player that will make the fans want to go to the stadium. I kind of see where he's coming from. Again, I think people have still got reservation on Hakan as a player. Can he be that sort of standout superstar? But all 6 signings that we've made so far this summer have all been really important and exciting in their own right. But does this one stand out to you a little bit more than the rest, given what he can offer to the team and the kind of flair that he could potentially bring, whether it be free kicks or just his general sort of creativeness?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I would have 100% agreed with you before, the Confederations Cup, but seeing Andre Silva in that tournament, I think I'd put him and Hakan in that category together as two players who, from what I've seen of Hakan on YouTube and what I saw of Silva in that tournament, they've definitely got the talent in their locker to do some amazing things. And if they can click and work together well in that Milan team, then it would be definitely exciting times.
Certainly will. I think, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, I've seen Hakan in action constantly over the last 2-3 years, but bits and pieces of what I have seen of him, I think he's much more than that free kick specialist sort of tag. The versatility thing is the one that kind of gives me the most hope that it'll be a major success, because I've seen him, out on the left, I've seen him through the middle, and he's got that creativeness about him, that little bit of magic in his locker, I think, that can definitely make him the kind of standout player. So yes, Silva definitely. I think I agree with what we've seen in the Confederations Cup. He's another exciting one, and I think we've got another exciting addition next to him. So all good.
Yeah.
Just speaking on that though, I think there's a lot of analysis and comments flying around from various people, whether they be in the media, supporters, or from Bundesliga fans and such. The one person that I've kind of taken the most from in terms of his assessment of Hakan is the Turkey manager, Fatih Terim. I just want to read a quote from him just to kind of give you and the listeners a better sort of idea, if you like. He said he's already a very mature player despite his young age. He's a calm type, but also a true fighter with a great sense of professionalism. He's a team player. He gives his all for his teammates, no matter what the system he's deployed in. Beyond his undisputed talent, his versatility and sense of sacrifice are real values whoever coaches him. I'll say this today, he'll give a lot to the team and to the attack. He'll demonstrate that quickly, that he's a great player and a top signing. Given that he's obviously worked with Hakan at international level, he's been hands-on, he's been influential in his international career. That just gives you more confidence, I guess, doesn't it? Hearing it from someone who knows him at that kind of, that level.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, he didn't have to come out and say that. It's very rare that you hear international manager, kind of make comments like this when a player makes a move. But it seems as if he was excited of seeing this guy play at such a big club now. So that's confident. That fills me with confidence, actually. Hearing that, and I'm excited to see what he does. Definitely excited to see what happens next season.
Definitely. Well, not long to go, Jace. Pre-season starting this week, so let's kick things off and see some of these new boys in action, hopefully.
Europa League soon as well, isn't it?
Yeah, the draw will be on July 14th, I believe, and then near the end of the month is the first leg, so season gets off very, very early, but I'm not complaining. I wish it started tomorrow, to be fair. But let's wait and see. Good stuff. So yeah, that's all positive on Hakan's side of things. I think everyone's excited about that signing. We'll wait and see what he offers. We spoke about him a little bit last week, but it only became official after our podcast, Jace. That's Fabio Borini's move to Milan. I kind of think supporters the majority of them, I guess, not all of them, have come round to the idea that, he's just a depth signing. There's no real point getting overly dramatic about it. I just don't see why this is how this situation we can lose in, because he seems motivated enough. It's essentially at 26, it's got to be his last shot at the a big club at the top level. As I mentioned last week, we're looking at potentially over 50 games, depending on how we do in Europe. What's the worst that could happen with this Borini signing? I don't quite understand any sort of negativity. I get it from a sense that maybe there's better options for depth, but he could come in, do just a decent job and he's served his purpose, or he could come in, be a super sub and be an absolute revelation. So any negatives from that side of things, Jace, or do you still have a bit of a reservation about Borini?
I've got no reservations at all. I mean, I've seen him score some great goals in the Premier League. I know he hasn't been the striker that everyone thought he was going to be when he was at Liverpool, but that being said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we picked him up for about $5 million.
Yeah, that's right.
I think for a third choice striker, like you said, he's very motivated. He's kind of looked out, really. Going from Sunderland to AC Milan. So him himself, I think he's realizes the opportunity he's got. Like you said, his age now, and I think when he gets the opportunity to make some appearances, he's going to be doubly motivated to want to impress. And we've seen what he can do. Like I remember that goal he scored against Chelsea for Sunderland. Screamer. He scored a couple of screamers for Liverpool as well. And I think it's great. I mean, if he can come on in the 85th minute and do that, once every 2-3 games when needed, then I don't see what the negative is when you're only spending $5 million on a player. So I don't get it. I think everyone, we talked about it briefly last week. I think everyone expects 22 superstars in the team, but it just doesn't work like that. I think this is probably one of the best choice strikers out there, I reckon.
Yeah, well, that's the way I've looked at it as well. I see it as just an upgrade on what we had and what we still have. Like, Ocampos is gone, so we needed to replace him. And, I was never Ocampos' biggest fan. You know that from me slating him every week on the pod last season. So he's an upgrade in that sense. And Niang's pretty much going to go. I'm fairly certain that will happen. And if you ask me, I know, again, people will obviously take issue with this, but I believe Borini can offer more than Niang. I think we've waited for Niang for so many years to deliver consistently, and he hasn't done it. And for me, my patience has run out to the point where he's got to go this summer, get some money in, move on. And Borini just seems like a really smart, sensible guy to come in. And as you mentioned earlier, provided that Suso stays, that sort of trio behind Silva of Hakan, Bonaventura, Suso, those will hopefully stay fit and be influential throughout the season, and then bring Borini on when you need him. So
yeah. I mean, I forgot about Niang as well, because there's still money to get from him. So when you look at it, you could be making money off Borini. If you're selling your third choice for like 10 mil and you're buying his replacement for half that, and his replacement is arguably just as good, or if not better, than who you sold.
Yeah,
I don't see the negative.
absolutely not. So for me, again, it wasn't the most extravagant of signings, but not every single signing, like you said, is going to be. There's going to be some just depth, really sort of not even mediocre. I think that's harsh as well. Just some sensible additions to go behind the top players that we've bought and we've already got. So
Yeah,
for me,
yeah,
positives.
definitely. I mean, just to add one more point, I kind of look at this in the same situation as Giroud, where very talented, definitely has talent and ability, just maybe not able to demonstrate that, for 90 minutes every week, but when called upon, they have that in their locker to do some special things.
Yeah.
I think that's what we got with Barini. So I'm more than happy with this signing, to be honest. I think it's like I said, it's the best that's out there. I mean, who's available for 5 million that's as talented as Fabio Barini?
Yeah,
Probably no one.
that is true. That's very true. No, good stuff. I think I'm happy with it, and hopefully he'll change opinion next season as well for those that are still not convinced. So fingers crossed, and we shall see. Just looking at it from a wider picture, though, Jace, comment that I made on my blog this week was that I feel as though there's a new cycle being built at Milan at this stage. I think there's been some really, really good business from the club, both from what we've said about the financial side of things, but also the football side of things. All 6 of our signings so far this summer are 26 and under. So you got Musacchio 26, Kessie 20, allegedly. Some people might argue. Rodriguez
35.
exactly. Rodriguez 24, Silva 21, Barini 26, and Hakan 23. You combine that with what we've already got with Donnarumma, Romagnoli, Locatelli, potentially Conti, Bonaventura, Suso, all these great names, all around the same sort of age bracket. There's a kind of sense for me that management have been really sensible about it. They've built this team now. Maybe there was a temptation possibly to go for instant success and get the top names that they could, but now they're putting in place the building blocks to not only be successful next season, but then to sustain that over the next 4 or 5 seasons. Do you agree with that strategy? Do you think that this is the start of a new cycle that could potentially lead to success down the road?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, modern day football is going through a change in itself. In that it's very difficult now just to buy the league. You can't just go out and splash hundreds of millions of pounds or euros and expect to build a team that are going to win the league in one season. So investing in these talented youngsters and kind of building around them and looking towards the future is definitely the right way to go, I think. And the positive with that is you get a group of players, a good core that will grow together essentially. And all these 6 signings could be there for the next 4 or 5 seasons, and that's what you'd hope. And as the older players kind of move on, you bring in younger players. Also, I was even forgetting, like you mentioned, Donnarumma, Locatelli, Romagnoli as well, being there, all being part of this kind of youthful Milan. You've got, like you say, the next generation, potentially the next 2 generations, because like you say, Donnarumma's only 18, so he could easily be there for another 10, 12 years as number one. So I think it's the right way to go, and we've seen before examples of how this brings long-term success as opposed to potentially winning the league and then not doing anything for 2-3 seasons, splashing out loads more money and make challenging and then again having a quiet period. But this is how you get that sustained success in a way. You may not be winning the league every year, but you'll definitely be back up in those top 3 spots, and that's what we want really. We want to be up there and challenging for the league and challenging in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's what I mean. I think in that sense, the building block side of the argument is perfect from what I'm trying to put across. Like you can put all these pieces in place this summer, and yes, the pressure's on Montella next season and the players to deliver now. They've got to back this up and deliver on the pitch. It can't all just be, oh, look at all our new signings, this is great. But then next summer and the summer after that, then comes like the major marquee signings that these top players will see what we're building and they're like, oh, actually, I want to be a part of that. that looks like they're going places. They finished in the top three last season. They're going for the title this season. They're back in the Champions League. That's when we start striking for the major targets. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Like you say, if they can build on these new signings and push up, you'd be able to attract the big names who kind of think, maybe I'm going to be the one. It's kind of feed into that ego. You look at what they've built and think, oh, they're missing that vital piece. Maybe that can be me. So yeah, hopefully we'll see that happen.
Definitely. So no, all good. Just importantly, I think upgrades in terms of the players that we've bought in and the players that they're replacing. I think we've made significant upgrades in that sense. As we mentioned, financially really sensible too. I just wanted to get your take on who's your favourite signing. I know you mentioned Silva, so I'm assuming you'll stick with that one. But we've got Silva in all reported figures at this stage, but Silva for £32 million, Hakan for 18, which will obviously increase with the bonuses. Musacchio for 15, Kessie on loan, 24 in total. Ricardo Rodriguez came in for 15, and then Barini for 5 on an initial loan deal. Is it still Silva that stands out for you out of those lot?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Silva just because he's in that position playing up front. You're always excited by his strikers, and from what I saw of him in the Confed, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do in a Milan shirt.
100%. I'd agree with you. I think he definitely is the kind of one that I'm going to keep my eye on and hope that is a massive success next season. But I don't know, Jace. Hakan's got that little. I think he's edged ahead of him ever so slightly.
Those free kicks, isn't it?
Just picture him at the San Siro and banging them in. But no, either one, both. Let's get it rocking. Let's get the season started. All good. Moving on to a kind of, I wouldn't say a negative side of things, but one that's continuing to rumble on is getting a bit annoying at this point is Donnarumma's contract situation. Massive update yesterday, Jace. Yesterday being Monday. Talk and speculation in Italy that he will now sign a contract renewal, and they leaked various figures and clauses that were involved in this deal. Donnarumma will allegedly earn €6 million a year over the next 5 years with this new deal, and they've had a €50 million release clause included if Milan don't make the Champions League next season. But if they do, it will go up to €100 million. And as part of this whole package, his brother Antonio will also join the club and earn €1 million a year. What do you make of this? How do you see it? Do you think that, Milan have got the job done, we've paid him whatever it was necessary to keep him and he's staying? Or do you look at it from the other side of it and say, do you know what? The only winner in this is Raiola. He's kind of got what he wanted for his client. They've increased the money involved, got the clauses in. Who wins, Jason, in this situation?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, like you say, it was vital that we kept Donnarumma. I feel. Does he deserve $6 million a year at this age? Probably not. But it's that thing, isn't it? When a player has options and he has an agent like Raiola, you have to pay out that money. I think the big thing for me is the release clauses. I think that's not good, is it? Really, you don't want those. And I mean the fact that it goes up to 100 mil if we make the Champions League is a bonus because I doubt anyone's going to pay 100 mil for a goalkeeper, and then you can kind of stand firm if he is trying to, or if Raiola does try and drum up another move next season or in a couple of seasons. But yeah, I think at the minute, was there anyone out there who was better than Donnarumma?
Not
that we could have got.
No, the names being linked weren't particularly exciting. So no. Yeah,
so I think from the footballing side, this is good business. Keeping the main man in. Did it say anything about him potentially still being the captain, or was it just?
That side of things has gone a little bit quiet. There wasn't any mention of that in the latest report, but from what Rossoneri said a couple of weeks ago when he was discussing kind of leaving the door open, I think they mentioned that the captaincy was part of the agreement. So I don't know whether that's still part of it or not, but I'm
Yeah,
sure it'd probably crop up in conversation. I'm sure.
yeah. I don't think he should be. I
No.
was just because of everything that's gone on. It's hard to tell if he would have the respect of the fans straight
Yeah.
away. But yeah, I think it's keeping him as a positive, and we've got the money now, so you have to spend it when you
Yeah.
need to spend it. I think this is one of those times where you think, is it worth saving a couple mil but losing such a talented young goalkeeper? Probably not. So I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think the one thing that makes me really sick about the whole thing is that, like you mentioned, at that age, he's not worth, he shouldn't be being paid that much. But
Yeah.
I think this deal makes him the third highest paid goalkeeper in Europe behind Neuer and De Gea, I think it was. So
Wow.
that's just ridiculous in its own right.
Yeah.
And then I pick up on your point about the release clause. On one side, I've argued on numerous occasions in the previous weeks about how as long as Milan put themselves in a really, sort of strong position to get the right value for him, great. If he leaves, whatever, I'll accept it as long as we get the right amount. But do you think it sends the wrong message as well in terms of, like you mentioned, the relationship with the supporters? Why, I get why, but putting in a release clause, leaving that kind of element of uncertainty, the door open to an exit, that's not really the message that I want to be, being, given by a player that should be desperate to stay and wants to be part of this project and success moving forward. Is that a fair enough statement, or do you not really see that side of it?
No, I definitely agree. It doesn't send out a good message. The only thing I'd say to defend Donnarumma is we don't know if that was asserted by him or by Raiola.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see it doesn't send out a good message at all. Does it? It's kind of saying, I plan on leaving very soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the fact that maybe there's no Champions League football at the minute, you could kind of argue is just kind of protecting himself in case we don't make it next year. But then on the other hand, he should be doing everything in his powers to make sure we do make it. So
Yeah.
yes, it's a difficult one, but it's never good when a player's insisting on buyout clauses.
Definitely not. Kind of conflicting reports at this point. Forza dismissed most of it, but there were suggestions that Milan are kind of cutting Raiola out. They went directly to Donnarumma and his family with this offer. I'm sure that didn't go down well with big old Mino. I'm sure he's probably had a little rant about that. But Forza said the relationship with Raiola is still fine. They're still talking, so can take nothing from that really, I don't think. And then just to pick up on a Twitter question that we had, it was a two-part question from Stefano. Thanks again for your question. We'll get to the first part of his question later, but he asked, will all this drama with Donnarumma affect his form next season? Some people kind of suggested that it was, all the furore and everything around his club future affected him at the Under-21 European Championship. Some fairly questionable performances, some saves he probably should have made, he didn't make. How do you think all this will affect him? Do you think this will have a negative impact on his sort of mentality and his form next season? But if by the time, say, we do agree on the deal and everything's sorted before the season starts, will that kind of just take everything out of his mind and let him focus on his football again?
Yeah, I think that's the main issue. The fact that the contract hasn't been signed yet, it probably has been affecting him and been on his mind. But I think once the issue is resolved and a contract signed, or touchwood, hopefully this doesn't happen, but if he decides to leave and then he's got a new club, it shouldn't affect him. I think it's the situation that's been dragging on, but once it's all done and dusted, hopefully he can come into next season fresh and ready and committed to Milan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, as usual, Jace, it wouldn't be a pod without a poll. So
I was waiting for this.
Yeah, I won't keep you any longer. Basically, very simple. Just ask the Donnarumma deal, good or bad for Milan. A real split, Jace. 51% said yes, job done, we've kept him. 49% said no, terrible deal. I don't know. I think it's still an element of people maybe not forgiving him for everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks, from the rejection to how he's handled the whole situation. Raiola's influencing it all. You can kind of see why people aren't happy with what seems to be sort of bowing to their demands, if you like.
Yeah, I can see that, but I think, as fans, sometimes we're a bit unrealistic about what we expect from our players. Not every player is a Milan fan.
Yeah,
I know I'd want them to be, but they're not, and it's their job at the end of the day. And in the same way, I think I mentioned it on last week's pod. If you're, I don't know, you work in an office and your rival company comes and offers you double the money, you're not going to say no, I'm loyal to my job, are you? You're going to go. But I think we kind of treat players unfairly, and Donnarumma's only doing what's best for him and his career. So from the club perspective, they need to do what's best for them. So to keep such a young, talented goalkeeper, it's got to be a positive. I think I definitely voted for good for Milan, especially as well. The deal's not going to put the club in any financial trouble. I think if that was the case, then I would be saying it's not a good deal. But the fact that we're financially stable and we've got one of the best young goalkeepers in Europe, I think it's a positive.
Yep, couldn't agree more. To kind of clear it up, then Forza essentially said tonight as well that Donnarumma will be with us until June 2018, which is the rest of his current contract, and we should hopefully find out in the next few days as to whether or not he's going to sign this renewal, and hopefully put this whole thing behind us, Jace. I think we've talked about it for long enough now, so hopefully it gets sorted out sooner rather than later. Good stuff. Definitely. Good stuff, Jace. Moving on to kind of just a roundup of the rest of the transfer talk. It seems everybody just wants to join us, Jace. Kalinic has confirmed today that he wants to join Milan. Fiorentina kicked up a fuss, suggested that they're aware of Milan's interest, but they're not interested in selling, so look elsewhere. Conte has come out and said it's his dream to play for Milan, and again, as we've mentioned last week, this one seems to be dragging on week by week, but I'll say it again, hopefully we'll have something towards confirmation in the next couple of days. It kind of sounded to me as if Rossoneri admitted that Milan might abandon the Kalinic pursuit. You can't force the club to sell, and even if Kalinic wants to move, if Fiorentina aren't interested, then we're going to have to look elsewhere. I know we spoke about it in depth last week because Kalinic was another one that split opinion and caused a bit of debate, but would you room not being able to add Kalinic to the squad this summer, or do you think it's kind of, we've dodged a bullet, let's look elsewhere because there's probably a better option out there for the money that we possibly could spend?
Potentially. I mean, 30 million is a lot of money. I think it all really depends on how well Barini does.
Yeah.
If he performs well, then you're kind of thinking, did we really need Kalinic? Especially if we keep Lapadula as well, then you've got the three strikers there. But if Barini doesn't work out, you kind of ruin the opportunity of not having that kind of player who you can rely on or use as a two, as opposed to kind of your third man trying to get him into the team. But yeah, I think 30 million is a lot of money. It's difficult because, like we mentioned last week, 30 million. It sounds like a lot, but really, it's the average for strikers nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I'd need to kind of know what kind of secondary targets Milan have in mind to decide whether or not I think it's, we could take this or leave this, to be honest, and who across Europe is going to move. Do you know what I mean? Who can you prize away from their current team to say, you may not start, but you definitely get opportunities from the bench. It's not every day you find a striker who's of decent quality, who's kind of joining the team knowing that they're not promised regular first team football.
Yeah, no,
so
that's true.
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes it difficult. And like we said last week, Kalinic would be a great signing. He would work well potentially with Silva, and someone who can bring off the bench, someone who's got European experience as well. So, going back on myself a little bit, maybe it isn't a good thing now we're not going to get him. I think if we've got the money, we should probably test Fiorentina's resolve, see how much they really want to hold on to him.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I don't know. I don't know whether it's lazy journalism or there is a genuine still sort of leaving that door open. But I think if you kind of connect the dots in the sense that if we sell Baka, if we sell Niang, if we sell Lapadula, combine the transfer fees, I don't know how much that would generate. Maybe 50 odd million euros, I guess, between the three of them. You add that.
Yeah, probably about that, I'd say.
Yeah, you'd add that to the kitty that we've potentially still got left over to strengthen the squad. The same names keep being dragged up. Like you mentioned there, I don't think there are many secondary targets in the sense of the Kalinic level, around that 20-30 million mark. The only names that have been dragged back up again are the likes of Aubameyang and Belotti. So would you even do that? Say if you could raise that money from those three sales, and then obviously you'd have to tinker the formation to maybe a 2 up top. Would that be the preferable sort of strategy for Milan to go down if they've got the means to go and do it, to get an Aubameyang or someone of that ilk instead of looking at the kind of mid-level Kalinic sort of player?
Yeah, well, if it was me, I would do that, but you mentioned it there, it would involve tinkering with the formation, and I don't know if Montella would want to do that. But yeah, I'd be happy playing 2 up front if those two were Aubameyang and Silva, definitely. But yeah, that's the only thing. The formation would definitely have to change. We have seen Silva play a little bit deeper for Portugal, kind of in that role, kind of a little bit behind Ronaldo. So potentially that could work, but I don't know. It depends on what Montella would want to do. But if it was me personally, if I was in charge, if I was the manager, I'd definitely 100% go for that.
Good man. Well, we shall see what they go for.
I mean, I hear Giroud might be available, even though I don't want to see him leave Arsenal. I mean, Everton look like they're potentially gonna get him for 20 mil. So I think that would be a decent backup striker.
See, I wouldn't mind that. I'd be more than happy with that kind of signing. I don't know whether there might be an argument to suggest maybe we do need that kind of a striker with different characteristics, like a Kalinic that's got a bit of pace, run the channels, kind of can work in tandem with Silva. But
yeah, because Giroud's not moving at all. He's good, but he's just very stationary.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the signing. I would be up for that, but I just think maybe Milan are probably looking at a different kind of striker if they do sign one. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. You did mention the formations there, and this kind of ties in with Stefano's other half of his question. He asked, what formation do you predict Montella will use based on the players signed? I've got to be honest, Chase, I think it was Gazzetta dello Sport put forward 4 different options. Variation of them, 4-3-3. I'm not even going to pluck out the rest of the numbers. It was all very confusing. The one that I settled on, though, and this is based on who we've already signed and how everything's going to fit together. It might change with another signing, but at the moment, I really like the look of the 4-2-3-1. And I'll give you my team, my lineup, and if you want to pick holes in the formation in the lineup, feel free.
Cool.
Obviously starts with Donnarumma in goal. And then I've got a back 4 of Conte, hopefully. Sometime this year he'll sign. And hopefully not wait until 2020 to see him in a Milan shirt. Masaccio, Romagnoli and Rodriguez. And then, I know this is going to spark a little bit of debate, but alongside Kessie in the 2 in front of the defence, I'd love to see Locatelli used there on a regular basis. But I think that will change in time. If we do, go out and buy another midfielder, then I'd probably
as a bit of a deep line kind of just distribution type.
Exactly. You've got Kessie, the kind of energetic destroyer next to him to protect the defence, and he makes his bursting runs forward as well. So they'll have to find the balance. But I think Kessie and Locatelli could work really well together. They complement each other really nicely. So I'd personally like to see that. Again, I know realistically I probably won't, but you never know. And then you've obviously got the 3 of Suso, Hakan, Bonaventura behind Silva up top. Do you see a different formation? Do you prefer a different formation, or do you like the look of that?
I think that's a good one. To be honest, you've got the kind of protection that you mentioned with Kessie, and you've got Locatelli and Hakan there in the middle as the kind of the providers, the ball players. You got Suso, the energy, I can see that working. To be honest, I mean, it's the good thing about it is that it can be it's quite flexible.
Yeah.
Kessie and Locatelli potentially could drop back if needed. Locatelli could move forward if needed. I guess that would be probably the one to kind of approach the majority of games with. But then talk about if we do potentially sign Kalinic, you could probably alter that for a bit more of a traditional 4-4-2, potentially a bit more attacking formation. But yeah, I think that would work quite well.
Yeah, no, bang on. I think if Kalinic comes in, then yeah, you would alter it, and I think it would probably be more of a 3-5-2, I guess.
Yeah.
It could all change, and then I think, I'm being very sort of optimistic about Locatelli. I think buying the sort of deep line playmaker is still very much on the agenda. So I don't expect him to be in the starting lineup at the start of the season, but I would, I'd like to see it maybe used in Europe potentially. I don't know, in lesser games in Serie A perhaps, but yeah, I'd like to see that formation, but we'll leave it in the capable hands of Montella to decide. But
that's what he gets paid the big money for.
Exactly, and like I mentioned earlier, pressure is massively on him next season now. I think he's got what he wants essentially, hasn't he? I think he's got the players he probably wished he had last season. So no excuses, I guess, this next season now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you say, he's had his window. He's brought in a lot of very good signings, but he needs to make it all work now.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Stefano, please let us know what you think would be the best formation, and any other listeners. It'd definitely be good to hear from you guys to see what we should be playing next season. But I think that wraps us up this week, Jason, unless you've got anything else you'd like to add.
No, I think we've covered it all. A lot of new talent going to be wearing Milan shirts next season. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. A couple more, hopefully, Jace, by the time we get around to next week's podcast. Conti, hopefully, fingers crossed. But no, all exciting times. Jace, always a pleasure. And nothing else but say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye to the people.